Okay, guys, good morning. Good morning. If you can hear me, you can give me a text for the public chat. Morning too. Good morning. That's great, Rebecca. Okay, I take this opportunity to welcome you to our second session because we already had our first session on Monday, on Tuesday last week. So today we are having our second session. Hereby we are going to talk about the second topic. However, we have to have a review of our first topic because it's so important for us. It is like we are building something. We have to have the foundation as we progress. So hope most of you have taken your time. You have gone through the topic one notes and you have tried the topic one activities. So I take this opportunity again to welcome every individual back on board, although we are not doing the normal way we used to do before. So I want to take the opportunity to welcome you to this platform. Hope you have maneuvered through the platform. And by the moment, I know you can make some progression within the platform. So hope you're going to enjoy our sessions. And I want to request you guys with somebody to frontier to be our class rep so that we can share our contacts, somebody to form our WhatsApp group that's going to aid us. Can I ask Rian, can you be our class rep? Winnie, can you be one? Rebecca, can you be one? Mweni, can you be our class rep? Faith, somebody wants to be our class rep before I choose somebody to frontier. Somebody to frontier to be our class rep. Lucy, can we choose you to be our class rep? Lilian, can you be our class rep? Rebecca, can you be our class rep? You can respond, give a text. We don't say no. Faith, can you be our class rep? Okay, Rebecca, thank you for accepting to be our class rep. So everybody to share the contact for the public chats so that we can have every individual contact. I start by giving mine. Let us give our contact so that we can have them, not so that we have our. Let us share our contact so that we can form a WhatsApp group for easy communication. Winnie, Lilian, you have shared yours. Hope Rebecca, you have somewhere you can note the contacts down so that you can form us a WhatsApp group. Okay, thank you, Winnie. So from our previous class, we went through the introduction aspect of statistics, and we asked ourselves some 2-3 questions that we answered. Why do we have to study statistics? How important is it to us? Number 2, we looked about the definition of statistics. We talked about the branches of statistics. Then we talked about some terminologies that we are likely to meet on the topic. Then we talked about the limitations, the misuse, and the importance of statistics. So to give a leeway, how to give a hint about what we talked about, statistics is a word that is drawn from two languages, that is Italian and Greek. It is drawn from the word statista in Italy, meaning political state, and the word status or status in Greek, that also means state. So when we talk about statistics, we refer to as, it's also a science. However, we say it deals with data collection, data summarization, data organization, data analysis, and data interpretation to come up with informative decisions. So it is like a CPU of a computer. What you do, you collect data, you analyze the data, you analyze that data, then you interpret to give the informative decisions. Then the branches we talked about, inferential and descriptive. Then we talked about the importance. It is used in forecasting, planning, control, and justification. Then when we talk about the limitations, we talked about some variables cannot be measured. Sometimes the data may be biased. Sometimes we may have okay. So sometimes we may be having a causal relationship that doesn't exist, and many others. Then we talked about the misuse. We talked about these things such as missing the data source. Sometimes we have unrepresentative sample. Sometimes we make unwanted conclusions. So that was at least the highlight of topic 1. We talked about some terms. We talked about what's a population, what's a sample. We talked about measurement scales. We talked about the nominal, talked about the ordinal, we talked about the ratio, and the interval scales. So today, without much wasting of your time, we want to talk about data presentation. It's a very important topic to us. And by the end of the topic, we are supposed to be able to define what is data. We are supposed to also remember the types of data we had before. We talked about quantitative and qualitative data. And by the end of the topic, we should be able to present data in scientific and systematic way. So those are the main key objectives of this topic. And with that in mind, we have to ask ourselves, why do we have to present data? Why do we have to present data? But before we present any data, we can talk about data being an observation or any collection in respect to any characteristics or an event. For example, you are studying about the performance of students in CITEC University as in relation to those taking diploma in accounting finance. So because of that respect, of that characteristic of student taking accounting finance, you will collect some individual characteristics compared to those students, then that's when to refer to as your data. So data is an observation collected in respect to any characteristic or event. So like now, I can take the data of those students who attended the class. The event is the students who attended the class. So I can collect the data. I can ask the age of the student. I can ask where they come from. I can ask what they like. So there are many things I can ask about. So we talk about another thing. We talked about statistics dealing with collection, all those analysis, interpretation of data to come up with information. What is information? We can talk in short terms. We can say information is data that has a meaning. It is data that has been converted to have a meaning. So majorly we convert data to information so that we can get some meaning out of it. For example, we can be talking about students cannot use the online platform to learn. However, we can say because it had not been applied before, that is just a statement. That is a normative thought. So let us try to apply this down. Then we can take data from that. Then we go analyze the data, then see the percentage in return. So that is so important for us to understand what is information. Information is meaningful data. So if we were talking about students cannot use the platform, but we have taken out some data analysis and we have realized that 70% of the students turned up, we can conclude and say 70% or 0.7 students can use the platform effectively. So when we talked about the types of data, we talked about qualitative data and quantitative data. When we talk about quantitative, we talk about it as numeric values. And when we talk about qualitative, we mean that the data in hand uses words, descriptive words, to show some attributes and some characteristics. So why do we have to do what we call data presentation? It is so important to us to do something we refer to as data presentation because it helps us to determine the relationship that is going to exist between different variables. So number one, you're going to understand the relationship that is going to exist between different variables. And number two, you are able to highlight what you expect. According to your hypothesis, what you are going to study, you can be able to highlight, give an understanding about what you expect at the end of that data presentation. So we have methods of data presentation, and those methods of data presentations, we have those that use words, we have those that use pictures, and we have others that we are not likely going to use at this level because we have things like the said analysis that is not going to be so important to us at this level. So in this case, for us, we are going to do what we call the frequency distribution tables, whereby we are going to have grouped and ungrouped data. Then we are going to talk about, and I want you to mark about grouped and ungrouped data because it's going to be so important to us as we progress. It's going to be so important to us as we progress. So we have many types of data presentation methods. However, we are going to review just a few. So the principle of data presentation, here we can talk about it is to present information in compact and a concise form without losing important details. So what you captured from the field is what you represent. You don't come and start giving other values. So if you collected data about 70 people, we expect to see the 7 observations. Then you are going to show us that from the 7 observations, this is what I collected. If it is the age of people, you just give the age as they gave it out. Because during that process of data summarization, you're going to do away with outliers. So another principle when you're doing data presentation here, you use at the simplest form possible to present your data. That's another thing. Use the simplest form. Don't make things complex. Make things as easier as possible so that whoever is looking at what you are presenting can be able to understand the data you have on board before even going into account. We can also talk about you have to represent that data in a way that such that whoever who is to do statistical analysis can easily be helped. That data can help that person. So for example, you represent your data in Excel so that somebody who is going to use that data using maybe SPSS, data, reviews, or any economic software can be easily be able to interpret or easily transfer that data to the software and use it. So also you have to present data in a formal way that it can capture the reader's interest. You don't present data anyhow. You just give it, you represent it so that it can attract somebody to continue reading about your data. So those are the major principles behind your data presentation. Make it as simple as possible. Number two, make sure it captures the reader's attention. Number three, make sure that wherever the data you are presenting can easily be used to do something we refer to as statistical analysis. And also make sure that the data you are giving on board captures everything. You're not losing anything. So data presentation can be in tabular form or can be in graphical form. When we talk about tabular form, we have simple tables and complex tables. And when we talk about graphical form, we have quantitative data and qualitative data. For quantitative data, we represent our data in histograms. We can represent our data in frequency polygons. We can represent our data in frequency curves. We can represent our data in line charts. We can represent our data in normal distribution curves. We can represent our data in cumulative distribution curves and scatter diagram. That is for quantitative data. But for qualitative, we have to use things such as the pie chart. We have the pictogram. We have the pie chart and the map diagram. So that is about how we represent our data. So when you talk about tabular presentations, we use, this is the simplest form that you can easily find. And in most times we are going to use the table presentation because most of the data we are going to have is the symbol form. You may have a table form, then from the table form, you are likely to go ahead and do what we refer to as the data you have. You can go ahead and analyze that data or interpret that data. So tabular presentation is the common type we're going to meet on board. So we have general principles when you're using tables. However, we are not going to look at them. Also, on the other hand, when you are using this type of data presentation, the tabular presentation, we do what we refer to as frequency distribution using grouped and ungrouped data. When we talk about grouped data, we mean it has a range, maybe from 10 to 15 and from 15 to 20. So you have some data that exists in between. And when we talk about ungroup, is when you have individuals. We have 1, 2, 3 individual values so that you don't have a range where they exist. So we are talking about individual variables. So we can have the two types of tables. We can tally the types of tables as well and represent those types of tables. Also from there, when we talk, that is for the tabular presentation. When we talk about the graphical presentation, we have talked about using the frequency polygons, the histogram, all those. But for the most important thing of us to understand is why some of the mechanisms are superior as compared to others, and try to understand each data presentation mechanism. So I cannot be able from my side to do what we refer to as screen. I can't share my screen. But I'm going to share with you a certain presentation whereby you are going to find out the charts and the graphs. What are the principles behind those graphs and charts? Also, you are going to see how that those data are represented. You have the common diagrams. We have the pie chart. It is categorical. Data is presented in a form of a rectangle because we have what we call the breadth, and we have also what we call the y-axis. So we also talk about the axis, the vertical and the horizontal, what is going to be presented in the vertical and what is going to be in the horizontal axis. So I have that presentation. I'm going to share it out with you. For example, here we are talking about students, the number of students, and we are also talking about the government schools. So we are going to talk about the number of students, and then we are also going to represent the classes from class 1 to class 8. So that's what we have on board. I'm going to share with you what I'm referring to. And also, we'll be having, after the pie chart, we'll be going through stuff such as the frequency polygon, the archive we used to do in high school. We will also be talking about the histogram. The histogram shows the frequency against the the other observation, maybe the number of years. So we have many. Those types of data presentations are so many. They are so many. However, I want us to take a concentration on the major three. We are going to look at the histogram, the frequency polygon, and we are also going to look about the archive. They are so important to us. Let us understand them. Let us try to look into details about them and be able to do a presentation about them because they are also important to us. So for the qualitative data, we have what we refer to as the picture chart and the pie chart. But in our case here, we are only going to study about the pie chart. So in sort of terms, this is what we expect from this topic. This topic, in most cases, it is more of a simple inquiry. Okay, for those who have joined now, you can share your contact via the public chat so that somebody can form for us a group, a WhatsApp group. You can see Faith, you have shared yours. So this is what the topic in most cases we do, because we feel that data presentation is so key and we require data presentation in our normal activities because it gives us, we try to understand the relationship between variables. It gives us the trend that we are going to expect, and it tries to answer some of the questions, the hypotheses that we have on board. So when we are talking about data presentation, it's so important to us. But how can somebody come on board and say this is the type of presentation I want? So it is a student to understand behind the board. I have maybe qualitative data. I have maybe quantitative data. I can represent my data first using tables. Then I'm going to represent that graphically, maybe using the scatter diagram, maybe using the histogram, maybe using the pie chart, maybe using the pie chart. So it is a student to come up with what he or she wants to do. So that's why I want you to do something called an inquest. You make deep analysis about these types of data presentations, because for my case, for the study of this unit, we only focus on 4 forms of data presentation. We use the table presentations. That is, maybe you can use grouped and ungrouped data. We look at the histogram, we look at the frequency polygon, the archive, and the pie chart. Those are our key data presentations in this topic. But sometimes you may be required to do scatter diagrams in future. Sometimes you may be required to do what we call the picture diagram in future. Have the pie charts. So I'm going to share with you what I'm using as my presentation so that at least you can make further inquest on the topic. Also, in the topic today, okay, knowing that most of you went through our chapter 1 activities, some of you went through the lesson activity and tried to answer the questions. Hope you got your score because I emailed every individual who tried what was Hope you can hear me now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So before I went missing, or before I was facing a technical itch, I have restored it. So this is what I want you guys to do. Rebecca, can you say hi to us? You can say hi to us. Not using the public chat, just say hi. Faith. Faith. Good morning.
Hi.
Say hi to us. Don't say hi to me. Ian, can you say hi to us? Winnie, can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi. Grace, can you say hi? Watu wanaogopa kuongea. Anyway, this is what I want you guys to do. I expect that, okay, this is the last topic that is going to be in a theory form, although I tried as much as possible to come up with the graphs about it. So I want you to take your time for at least 40 minutes. For at least 40 minutes, I want you to go through the lecture notes. Then after that, there is a forum that I created called the class 2 forum. The data presentation, it has some questions. So we're going to have that forum at exactly 9:30. From 9:30, we're going to have that forum. And I have told you guys that we have a class attendance register. So the more you participate in that forum, the more you are in class. Because I don't want to mark somebody came in late or somebody was absent. Because I know some of us are facing something called the network itches, and so they cannot join the live conference. Others are getting it hard from yesterday to join the platform. But for those who are on board, like now I have 60 students on board. So I expect you guys, like I have not heard from Tina. Tina, can you say hi to us, or you can give us a text? Yes. Morning. Frank. Frank, so you can say something, I call you back. So this is what I want you guys to do. Take your 40 minutes. I want you to log out from this platform. Me, I'm not going to log out because wherever you have a problem, you can come back to this platform. Faith, your microphone. Winnie, your microphone. Faith. So this is what I want you guys to do. So from here, I want you to log out. After you have logged out, but wherever you have a challenge, you can come back because I will be on board. So you do this. The first thing, you will find the lecture notes. Please click on them, download them, go through them. And in 40 minutes time, that is by 9:30, let us be back on board. We do a discussion forum. You click on the class 2 data presentation activity under this topic. Then we take participation in the questions that will be on board so that we can interact freely. So I expect everybody to come back on board, because after that, I will take a class attendance register. So please, please, please come back and let us proceed. So from here, I expect everybody to log out so that we can progress in other platforms. So thank you, Faith. Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Tina. Thanks, Rebecca. So for that, let us move to the other platform or the other activities under the topic so that we can make some progress. Are we together? Faith, are we together?
Yes.
Grace, are we together? Lydian, are we together? Tina, are we together? So let us move to the other platforms. Let us log out and proceed to other platforms where we are going to do some other activities. Let us log out.